Hi, friend. I'm Heather Cianci. I'm a full-time high school English teacher. I'm the owner of the Teachers Pay Teachers store, It's Lit Teaching, and I'm the creator of the course TPT Profitability. TPT Profitability is designed to help you create a sustainable Teachers Pay Teachers store in about a month or so. So today I want to talk about a belief or a fear that I think is stopping a lot of teachers from getting going on Teachers Pay Teachers. And that's the belief that it's selfish to charge for your teaching resources. So I, of course, do not believe that at all, and I don't think you should either. We as teachers, we are conditioned to, one, expect a lot for free. How many times have you needed something tomorrow for your classroom and you go Google it, right? And you just print off a worksheet, or you copy and paste a picture into a PowerPoint and don't worry about where it came from or giving the photographer, the artist credit, right? We're just used to everything kind of falling under this umbrella of educational use. So we can kind of just steal a little bit of that, take that. I don't have to ask permission. I don't have to worry about giving credit to anyone. We can go next door, right, to our colleagues and say, hey, I need this thing. I need a review worksheet. I don't feel well. Do you have anything I can steal for a subplan for a day, right? And then our colleagues, of course, are like, yeah, come rummage through my filing cabinet. You got it. So we are used to kind of this free exchange as educators. We're used to being able to kind of just take what we need, take what we want, take what we can find, and it being okay. And on the reverse side, we're used to just handing out a worksheet that we made, to the new teacher, giving our lesson plans over to somebody else at another building who maybe needs them. We're used to that free exchange of resources, ideas, information. But if we dig a little deeper, I think we're also really used to and just conditioned to undervalue our own work. So many teachers are putting in extra hours and not getting paid. I know you guys are buying things for your classroom and you're not getting reimbursed, or you're not getting tax breaks, you're not getting money from your building. You are putting in the time and effort to tweak a worksheet that maybe is good enough, but isn't great. So we are just used to putting a lot of time and effort into things and not getting any kind of reward back. I mean, we usually don't even get a pat on the back, right? Oh, hi, Roy. This is my dog, Roy. So we're conditioned to undervalue our own work because teachers are just so unpaid and underappreciated in general. When our colleague asks us for a worksheet, of course we hand it over. We don't say, sure thing, that'll be $1.50, because we want to help. Teachers want to help. They want to, help one another. They want to help their students, right? So we give freely of our time, our energy, our creativity from a good place. But in doing so, we undervalue our time, our energy, our creativity. Now, I don't think that if your colleague comes to your room, you should charge them $1.50 if you give them a subplan for tomorrow and they have the flu, right? That's not what I'm saying. But putting your resources up on Teachers Pay Teachers isn't being selfish. So let's talk about what happens when you do give your work away, all right? So what happens when, I know, here's a good example. So when I got my job, I was replacing a teacher that had retired, right? And so when I got into my new classroom, I opened a few desk drawers and there were files with some worksheets she had left behind, a couple of books that she had used, right? And so, of course, I flipped through them, right? I was like, okay, cool. Here's some stuff I can fall back on. I put them away in that drawer. And then they sat in that drawer for the next 2 years. I had all these free resources, free books that I know somebody had taught, to the same population that I was teaching, the same type of students in the same classroom with access to all the same resources. And still, I did nothing with them. Why? I didn't choose them. I didn't pick them out. I didn't even, there was no context, and because it was free, because it was left behind, because it was free, to me, it had no value. Here's another example. Let's say you're going to a teaching conference, right? If you are like me, you are pilfering every free thing you can get. Hashtag broke teacher, right? When I come back from a conference, my bag is full of free pens, free pencils, free like squishy stress ball things. I have half melted chocolate people have given away. I have brochures for colleges I never plan on attending. Like, I have all of this crap in my bag. Why? Because it was given to me for free. Because somebody said, hey, you want it? And I said, sure. And I threw it in my bag and promptly forgot about it. When I get back to my classroom and I empty out my bag, what happens to it? Those pens and pencils get thrown at the bottom of a drawer. Those I might use, but more accurately, they're given away to students and never seen again, right? The chocolate I might eat, I might give to a colleague, I might give to a student. Again, I'm not attached to it. I'm not sitting there, thank God I got this free piece of chocolate, right? And the resources, the free textbook samples, the free worksheet samples, I flip through it. I say, oh man, I'm definitely going to come back to this one day when I have time. I throw it on a shelf, and then 3 years later, I find it and I throw it away. This is what happens when resources are free. Most of the time, we don't use them. Things that are free tend to be seen as resources, things that don't have value. Now, if you're one of those people who are thinking that selling your teaching resources is selfish, will be perceived as selfish, I want you to try flipping that thinking around. So to me, in my opinion, what is truly selfish is having amazing resources that you have created that solve a problem, that help students learn or practice a skill or review essential information, and all you do is use it in your classroom, stick it in a filing cabinet, and wait until you need it again next year. Let's say you created an amazing worksheet, right? The worksheet to end all worksheets. You use it for a day in your classroom. It is great. Kids learn, they practice, the skills sink in. It goes into a filing cabinet and you don't touch it again for 12 months, right? Now, imagine if other teachers had access to that same worksheet. The new teacher who has no freaking clue what to do and is drowning and just trying to get by day would kill for that amazing worksheet. The older, more experienced teacher who's bored of teaching the same stuff because they've been using the same materials for 5, 10, 20 years would kill for that worksheet. Somebody on the other side of the country who's teaching the same unit as you, but on a different part of the year, would kill for that worksheet. Now they don't have to plan for that day because you did all the awesome work. What is selfish is creating great resources for students and putting them away in a filing cabinet, never to be seen again. By charging for your work, let's even back up, before you even charge, putting it on Teachers Pay Teachers makes that resource available, right? That worksheet, that PowerPoint slideshow, those task cards, whatever that thing is that you've created that is so stellar, so amazing. Once you put it on Teachers Pay Teachers, now teachers all over the world have access to it. And even more important than teachers having access to it is students having access to it. Now, when you put a price on that product, even if it's just $1, $2, $3, whatever, it doesn't matter. When you put a price on a product, when you put a price on a teaching resource, you're suddenly communicating that it has value. This worksheet is $1 because it's worth $1. It is worth your hard-earned dollar. And that sounds maybe intimidating for a lot of people. Like, oh, I don't want, well, who's to say if my stuff's worth $1, right? But it is. You put time into it. I'm assuming that if you're thinking about starting Teachers Pay Teachers, you have some resources that you've created that you know work really well for students and that other teachers would probably kill to use or would at least find helpful in a last-minute situation. So you have these resources that will help people, that people need. And charging isn't you being selfish. It's you telling people, hey, this resource that you're finding in this search because you're looking for something just like it, it's worth some money because it's going to help you out. It's going to help your students. It's going to save you time. Now, even more important than conveying the value of your product is money holds people accountable. Now, my paychecks are not great. The ones from my school, from my district, I'm going to guess that you can sympathize with that, right? Those little tiny teaching checks come in and those numbers are super sad. So when we buy something, I think especially us teachers, we kind of think through it a little bit more, right? When I buy something on Teachers Pay Teachers, I am reading every line of the product description. I'm looking at every picture, every image, every thumbnail. I'm going through that preview with a fine-tooth comb, right? And like, it doesn't even matter. It could be like 50 cents, right? And I'm sitting there analyzing like, 50 cents. Do I really want this? Is this really what I want? Okay, it's gonna, it's exactly what I'm looking for. It's gonna save me 6 hours of planning and creating, and I could run these copies off in 10 minutes and be good to go for tomorrow. But 50 cents, do I really want to part with that 50 cents? Like, right? Like, I go through like mental gymnastics trying to figure out if I should spend money or not. So when I do finally pull the trigger and I spend money, guys, you know what? I'm using that resource and I'm excited to use it. So charging for your resources not adds value, but communicates the value, right? This is worth your while. Otherwise, I wouldn't be charging for it. But more importantly, it gives people accountability. When people spend money, now they feel compelled to use it. So those free resources, the free textbook samples, the free worksheets, whatever it was that I got from my teaching conference that sat in a drawer for 3 years, there was no accountability. I didn't have to do anything to get that. I didn't lose anything. I already basically had a day off because I was at this conference having a good time with my coworkers, right? It didn't cost me anything to get these textbook samples, to get these resources. But when I buy something on Teachers Pay Teachers, it's costing me $1, $10, $20, depending on what I'm buying. So I'm only going to buy it if I really need it, but then I'm going to make sure that I use it. Even if I second guess myself after that purchase, I'm like, well, I'm going to try it, see how it goes. So by charging for your resources, you're making sure that the teachers, your buyers, are actually moving them forward, using them with students, and then the students benefit. It is too easy for us teachers to fall back on what we did last year, right? It's too easy to just fall back on what the person next door did because they're getting by, so whatever. But when we buy something, now we're trying something new. Now we're moving forward. Now we're experimenting. Now our students are getting to see resources that don't come from my head, but from yours. And that's really invaluable as well, right? If my students are only learning through my resources, through my content, they're missing out on a world of perspectives. I only process things one way, right? But if I take a resource from another colleague, it might be presented totally differently. Or that person over there or you might create something that's laid out in a way that I would have never thought of. When you charge for your resources, when you charge for your teaching resources, you're communicating the value and you're holding teachers accountable for using those resources with those students, for teaching those skills. All right. Now, the last thing that charging does, and I'm just throwing this out there in case you're still like, I don't know, I still feel just guilty about charging. Let's talk about time. Because I think ultimately that's what we're all buying on Teachers Pay Teachers. Yeah, we're buying the Q posters, and yeah, we're buying the worksheets, and yeah, we're buying the sub plan so I can go back to bed because I have the flu. But what we're all really buying when we spend our money on Teachers Pay Teachers is time. And time is the one thing that we can't get back. It's the one thing that we can't find at Walmart or Costco or Target, right? And it's something that we're all afraid to part with and we all want more of. School eats up enough of our lives, right? If you are only working 40 hours a week teaching, kudos. But also it's still taking up mental time, right? We all go to bed thinking about our kids. We wake up thinking about our kids. Most of us are going in early. We're staying late. We're making products or doing research or doing professional development outside of school time. The last thing we want is to spend another 2 hours trying to make the perfect worksheet, trying to craft the perfect lesson, trying to outline the perfect unit. If you've already done that work, please share it, because teachers need more time. And I don't know about you, but I would pay anything for more time to spend with my family, to spend with my friends, to spend with my dog Roy you saw earlier. I want more money to pursue my own passion projects, to travel, to, God, just veg out with Netflix for a frickin' hour. Time is invaluable. You cannot put a price on time, but you can put a price on your teaching resources. So, if you've been thinking through this video and you're like, all right, fine, I'll take the plunge, and I promise charging does get easier. It's a little uncomfortable in the beginning. It's just something that you work through, and it gets easier and easier, and you feel less guilty, and eventually people are emailing you thanking you for sharing your products because it's just what they needed, and then that helps the guilt feel a little bit better. If you are ready to start your Teachers Pay Teachers journey, I'm going to throw a link below to my course, TPT Profitability. It is broken up into the 4 steps that you need to start your store. It is designed for the absolute TPT beginner. If you don't really know anything about TPT, you can start with lesson 1, and by the end, you'll have a full course that is rocking and rolling, got some products, even a smidge of marketing going on there, and you'll be good to go. All right, thanks for tuning in, guys. Have a good one.